Last time I created a character model and wrote some scripts to control it, and now I'm making some models which I'm going to be using to design the first level for the game. So first I'm showing some footage of 3D modeling in Blender, and later I'm gonna import them into Unity and I'm gonna start building the level. For this game I'm going for a rural countryside type of environment, so here I'm creating some models to go with that style. First I wanted to make just some walls and some basic stuff that I'm going to be using throughout the level, and after that I'm going to make some specific props and decoration models. Basically what I'm trying to design here is a soccer court, and I'm planning on having at least two different maps, where one is going to be used when there are two players in game for a 1v1 match, and the other is going to be used when there are more players in the game. So as you can see, these are just some typical wooden constructions you would find on a farm. And here I'm actually making a goal, and I wanted to make the goals stand out because they're the most important parts of the map. So I wanted to create a windmill on top of the goals, which I think will draw the most attention in the level. There will probably also be some similar buildings in the background of the map outside the walls of the game area. But I'm gonna try to create some fog and atmospheric perspective to make them not stand out as much, and the eye will hopefully be drawn to the correct spot on the map. It's also worth mentioning that even though I used perfect rectangular shapes to make the objects at first, I later went through the models and slightly randomized the shapes of all the objects to make them appear more natural. After importing the models into Unity, the first thing I wanted to do is create a basic terrain game object and make some grass. And for the grass I'm just using a triangular sprite to go with the minimalistic style of the game. The terrain has to be perfectly flat for this map because it wouldn't make too much sense playing soccer on a bumpy terrain. So I'm hoping that the grass will be enough to make the ground interesting enough, but also the overall aesthetic of the level design should make the map cute enough. After the grass was done, I started placing the models to actually create the structure of the court. And basically I didn't have any concrete plans before, and I just made stuff up as I went. Later on I also changed the colors a bit just to make them more saturated and interesting. For this map I decided to make green, brown and blue my three main colors, which I believe are fairly common for this kind of setting. The models use some very basic materials which are basically just color gradients, so with a very subtle texture on top of them. At this point, all I knew is that I wanted to have some platforms above the sides of the terrain to look like a spectator area, and maybe later on in the project I will actually add the feature to spectate games, and the viewers can walk around these platforms. Another option is to allow the players to access these parts of the map, which might make the gameplay a little bit more chaotic and unpredictable, but I will have to test that out since I'm not sure if it will make much sense. I should mention that I did create a post-processing profile to make the environment look a bit better while I'm making the level. And you can actually see some clips where the post-processing is turned off, and you can really see how much of a difference it makes. Around here is where I had the most fun designing this level, since the trees always add so much to the atmosphere of the game. I decided to have two different colors for the trees to make the background more interesting. I'm planning on modeling more kinds of trees for the future, but for now this will have to be enough, since I was getting a little bit tired of modeling. I randomized the scale and the white position of every tree to make them look more natural and unpredictable, and I was very happy with the result. The map was brought to life even more when I added the fog and made the trees which are further away fade out in the atmosphere.